Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Innovators Live. I'm super excited to have all of you here. My name is Aliya Amershi. I'm a technical solutions manager here at Boast, and I'm joined here by Jessica Doody, who is a product owner at Boast. And today we're going to be talking about how women entrepreneurs can break into tech without relying on investors. So this is going to be a very fun topic. Before we, dive into all of that and share some valuable insights. I'll share a little bit about my background. I'm a former software engineer. I worked at some Fortune 500 companies such as Electronic Arts and Viacom Networks. Then I launched two of my own tech startups, the current one being Code Free App Launch, where I help entrepreneurs launch their innovative app idea using no code solutions. And now, I'm also working at Boast to help like some of the coolest R&D tech startups, helping them get their shred credits from the government. So that's a little bit about myself. And then Jessica, if you want to share a little bit about yourself, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah, I'm Jessica Doody. I'm currently working in product, as Aliya mentioned, here at Boast. I have a non-technical business background, so I'm a numerous time founder as well myself. And it's actually what got me very interested in tech as I learned the important role of software in small business and what a difference it can make for small business owners. From there, I actually dove in hard and I went to Queens to do a Master's of Innovation and really dove into tech. Found myself working in tech communities and then here at Boast. So very different entry path than you, Aliya.
Yes, well, it's good to have all both worlds come together, and I'm sure we'll have some amazing insights to share, which we talked through already. So first of all, like, why are we passionate about this topic? So, as you may know, the tech startup world is a pretty male-dominated industry, and then when it comes to you know, investments into like women-led tech startups, according to PitchBook in 2019, only like less than 3% of venture capital went to women-led tech startups, and that's actually worse for women of color. And so this is why this is something I'm so passionate about, Jessica is so passionate about. And how what we want to talk about today is like instead of like tackling the problem of how to get more investors supporting and investing in female founders, we want to think about things outside of the box of how women founders can break into tech, build their tech products, their apps, what have you, without investors, and there's so many ways to go about things. So the reason why a lot of times, let's get into why women founders or founders in general think they need investors. And it's a lot of times people, tell them that's what you need to do. But now in this economy, like nobody's really going to be getting that much investments at this point. So you really do have to think outside the box. And, you don't, and a lot of times people think they need investments to pay like, tens of thousands to hundreds of $1,000s on developers or marketers or salespeople to build their like product to get those customers. And we're going to show you today that you do not need that at all. So the first thing I want to get into, well, there's something I call the triple threat approach, which is we're going to cover business, technology, and mindset. And so we'll start with the business side of things. So, typically when I've connected with a lot of founders, a lot of times they conflate like the technology with their solution when those are completely two separate things. The technology is something used to deliver, is a medium really to deliver, enhance, and or scale your solution. Your solution is how you solve a painful problem, and it's all part of like you want to think of it in a grander like scheme in terms of your value proposition. And so when you think of your value proposition is, who are your ideal customers that you want to serve? What is their painful problem? What is your unique solution? What are the key benefits for that particular customer that customer would value? And how does it differentiate from what's already out there in the market? And so the best way to start like forming your value proposition is really the first step you have to do is to start talking to customers. So and you don't have to just pick up the phone and like cold call people, although that is one method. But, with social media, it's so easy to like access customers and start reaching out to them and forming those relationships. So you think of it as relationship building as opposed to like selling your product. It's not like you don't want to ask someone to marry you on your first date. So you build those relationships, you understand what their pain points are, you like figure out, you tell them about your mission, you just determine if they're the right customer for you, and that sort of stuff. So that's my tip there. But Jessica, I know you have some stuff to add to that as well.
Yeah, so I talk to a lot of founders on a weekly basis, consulting right now out of Platform Calgary. And this is one of the most common things we talk about is making sure that you do customer discovery up front before you actually build anything. So this can serve a few purposes. It can ensure that you build the right thing when you do go to build, because sometimes what we think is the value actually isn't, and we're missing one of the key points in our solution. Secondly, you can gain early evangelists. So you can actually gather a group of people that really care about solving this problem as well and are willing to go out and talk about it for you, which, will increase your customer base when you do launch a product. And lastly, I think one of the biggest points is you can actually find customers that will buy. So you can get early letters of intent if it's a solution for a business, people that are on a wait list, or you can just build up some excitement and some traction before you even launch. So 100% I'm on board with this, Aliya. Talking to customers, very, very important.
Amazing. Thank you, Jessica, for those insights. Okay, so the next point or topic of the triple threat approach is the technology piece, right? So a lot of times people think they had to build this like, amazing fancy product with all the latest technology and AI, blockchain, what have you. And it has to be totally perfect before it gets out to market, and that is not the way to go. What you want to do is build your MVP, which stands for minimum viable product, which comes from the lean startup methodology. And the whole point of that is to get the maximum amount of validated learning with the least amount of effort. And the least amount of effort is like least amount of time, cost, resources, that sort of stuff. And so the amazing thing now is that with the proliferation of no-code tools, and now all these amazing AI tools, it's easier than ever to get your first version of your product out to market. And build something together to like validate your idea, test your solution, get that customer feedback, and even start generating revenue. And then, in terms of like no code tools, it doesn't have to just be these code-free app builders such as like Bubble or Glide or what have you that's out there. You can use like simple tools just like something as simple as Google Sheets to start maybe building a directory. Like if you're trying to build a directory app, you could use that. And it's just a matter of like integrating all of these different tools, like maybe Google Sheets, Zapier, Slack, what have you, creating that workflow. And there you've got like kind of like it's like a Frankenstein product, but as long as it delivers the result, the transformation that the customer is looking for, to like the customer is looking to get from point A to point B. And as long as you can deliver that in whatever particular time frame, that is what's key here. So, and then the thing is, once you start generating like revenue from this MVP product, then what you can do is like you can fund your business or self-fund your business from customers as opposed to investors, which is the better way to go. And then from there, you can, in parallel, whilst you're generating revenue, you can build your cool R&D product with the technology, you put whatever artificial intelligence, blockchain, whatever you want to do in it. And then that's when you can reach out to us as your shred experts to help reimburse those costs by filing a shred claim with us. So that's, that would be my like recommendation. And Jessica, I think you have an amazing story or case study to actually share about that.
Yeah, I think I'm freezing up a bit, so apologies for that. But one of my good friends, Cressida Raffin, I'm just going to call her out today. She's actually the founder of Birdie Break, a babysitting marketplace. And she's such a great story in regards to this approach. So her and her co-founder actually hacked together their first solution of this marketplace using all sorts of tools, including just Google Docs and things like that, like you mentioned, Aliya. Their customers had no idea on the other end that this wasn't a fully built out platform because they used web tools and other things to build out their first version. By doing that, they were able to get enough customers to actually start generating revenue and help them fund their next version of their product, which they could then outsource to a technical team. So this is a really great approach, especially if you're a non-technical founder and you're thinking like, how am I going to go about building this huge tech product right off the hop. This is something you and I really share a lot of passion for, about hacking that first solution to make sure you're getting the key value for your customers and getting it right before you go ahead and invest in a more technical version of whatever your product is. So I love this method for sure.
Yes, and that's an amazing, case study there. And there's so many of them. And, people would be surprised, like a lot of the big names tech startups that we hear about, such as Uber, Airbnb, they followed this approach as well. So it's actually pretty common. All right, so the third, pillar of the whole triple threat approach is mindset. And so what you can do, well, actually, let's talk about what the mindset issue is. So a lot of times, um, founders, early stage founders, or maybe even later stage, they face mindset blockers, whether it be like imposter syndrome, fear of rejection, fear of putting yourself out there, perfection paralysis, all of this sort of stuff. And so this is where you want to, if you do want to invest in something, you want to invest in a coach to help you overcome those mindset blockers and face your fears, and get into some strategies to help you build that courage and that confidence to put yourself out there, to reach out to customers, to test things out, and not worry about failing. It's all about failing fast and learning from those mistakes, and like moving forward. And in addition to these like mindset blockers, like I also like to talk about something called performance optimization, where you can practice like wellness techniques such as morning rituals that include meditation, affirmations, what have you, to really help you kind of develop that discipline, because that's what it takes. So, a lot of times to build a successful tech startup is that discipline, that courage, that those daily practices, to help you perform and get into a state of flow is what it's called, and reach your maximum potential. So that is one, option there to help with your mindset. But Jessica's going to also talk about community and how that can help.
Yeah, so there's some very real blockers, I think, for women entrepreneurs. One of them is just I don't know about you, Aliya, but how many circles growing up did you talk with other women about investing or money or investment or things like this? I think often they're much more common in circles that men are part of. And so I think it's really important as entrepreneurs that we put ourselves in communities of like-minded people. And I'm a major community advocate. I've been part of numerous communities here in Alberta, so Startup Edmonton and Platform Calgary, two innovation communities. There's also these accelerators and incubators all the way across Canada where you can gain access to communities. And there's some really real advantages to that. Not only do you get access to programs that are usually low cost or free, but you can also have opportunities to socialize your ideas, what you're thinking about, whatever stage you're at. There are other founders facing the same challenges. And one of the biggest things I find community is good for is you get good at talking about what you're doing and telling your story to strangers. So often we like to hide in the friends and family realm when we're telling people what we're thinking of building, but it's really important to start telling your story. I think when it comes to raising investment later on, the better you are at telling your story and positioning your product, the more successful you'll be. And I think the final advantage of being part of communities is just awareness of things you might be missing out on. So events, grant opportunities, investment opportunities, building the network before you actually need to go raise money. So if you have a strong network, that's going to really help you.
Absolutely. I mean, that's, what Boast is all about, building community as well, on top of all the million other things we do here, but community is a huge part of this. And that's helped me tremendously as well. Okay, so Jessica, I'll leave it to you to wrap everything up. But before you do, I just want to say thank you, everyone. For joining us. And if you have any questions, we have a few minutes, we can answer some questions. Otherwise, actually, it looks like there might be, before we wrap up, Jessica, let's just see. It seems like there could be something here. So we got a comment here from, Jennifer. Women need to be educated more about entrepreneurship beginning in high school. Yes. And got a comment here from Yurgo. Developing a strong value proposition is a unique step for everyone. And what are some strong alternative indicators that help to qualify your value proposition in order to say, yes, I'm confident in my value proposition because of X? Yeah. So to help you start validating things is typically before customers invest with their wallet, they invest with their time. So if customers are agreeing to participate in your idea experiments to test out your solution, that's the first good indicator. The second good indicator is if they start, raving about your product, they love it, they're willing to pay for your solution. They haven't paid yet, but they said they are willing to pay. They start referring other people. You get those raving fans. And then third is then they actually, pay for your solution. But there's a lot of leading indicators prior to them paying. Jessica, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, for sure. So there's a book called The Right It that I like to send entrepreneurs to, and it's validating your idea through what he calls in the book skin in the game. So how much time, effort, investment, money are customers actually putting, even pre-customers actually putting into your idea? You can measure this by how much skin they're willing to put in the game. So obviously dollars is the biggest way they can show you they're interested. But you want to make sure you're doing some desirability testing before you actually launch a product. Are people actually looking to purchase this? I think the other way, when you're just getting started, if you're doing customer discovery, you should get to the point where you've had enough interviews and enough conversations that you can start to predict what you're going to hear, because you know those key pain points and the key value that you're offering. So great question, Yorgio.
Absolutely. And just to add to that, I thought of one more thing. Again, it's really important to have, this goes back to having those customer conversations, right? It's really hard to get that, from just doing surveys or just thinking about things in a silo in your own box. You will be amazed with the amount of information you get from connecting with customers and pulling that in to figure out how to build the right product, to figure out how to run your idea experiment, and to also create your marketing materials and what have you to start attracting more of those customers once you figured out who they are. So great questions and points. Yeah. Was there anything else? It looks like, I think that's it from what we see in the comments. So Jessica, I'll have you take it away.
Yeah, so while we know it actually is a very real barrier to women looking for investment, it does take them longer statistically to raise a Series A. Still, the vast minority of investment dollars go to women. There's these things that you can do early on in the process to help increase your traction so that when it does come time to raise investment, you're more interesting to investors when you've got some traction under your belt. So hopefully some of these tips can help for today. I want to call out a couple of really cool communities serving female and women founders. The first one is the 51. They are helping women in many ways with regard to investment, teaching women how to be investors, investing in women-led companies, and also preparing women founders for investments. They're doing some really good work. And the other one is Joanne Fideko. She's got the Canadian Women's Network in Silicon Valley. I would definitely check out that network. She's always got interesting points and tips and opportunities for women across Canada. So thank you everyone for joining us. Any final thoughts, Aliya? Are we good to sign off?
Yeah, actually, I just want to say to that point about the whole investor thing. So, the main thing is you don't want to really be chasing investors. You want investors to chase you, and so you can do that by like creating a solid value proposition, getting those customers, building the audience, getting something out to market, and what have you. And once you get that traction, like investors will start hearing about you and they'll come to you. So
great. Well, thank you, everyone. We'll see everyone next Friday for the next episode of Innovators Live.
thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.